Muted.
Um,
Next.
Hitesh sir.
Button. Double tap to activate. Button.
Hitesh sir.
Speaking banner spot A.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Speaking banner
Sir.
spot A. Speaking
Sir,
GNL.
actually, there is a
SIPSNP,
communication
PR
gap
Thakkar.
between Kalpe sir and participants.
Okay.
So he told that be there. Everybody will join at 6:20.
Okay.
Your time will be the same. Just be there, like that he told. And he told sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem, sir.
Okay.
હેલો યસ આપણે હું ચાલુ કરું છું આઈ એમ જસ્ટ ઇન્ફોર્મિંગ ગ્રુપ સોરી આઈ મિસ ટુ ઇન્ફોર્મ
કઈ વાંધો
હિતેશ
નહીં. કઈ વાંધો
સોરી
નહીં.
સોરી ભૂલી ગયા સોરી સોરી
Problem, bro. Take your time.
Good evening, participant. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Sorry for informing late. We'll be starting soon. So sorry, Dr. Hitesh Thakkar, for delay. People are joining.
You are unmuted. WebEx. Mute button. Double tap to activate. Mute button. Speaking Spot A. Speaking G.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, Kalpesh sir.
Yes, yes.
Introduce then.
Yeah, you want to introduce? Yeah, over to you then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You can start.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Thank. And uh, participants, Dr. Hitesh Kumar Thakkar, he is a assistant professor of law and assistant professor of economics, and he is dealing with law and economics, and he is also recently heading a special center on empirical research in empirical and applied research in law and inter center, and Dr. Hitesh Kumar Thakkar and myself involved in at least 3 research projects on disability studies. One is relating to employment opportunities through the PWD. Another one is relating to accessible banking, and very recent insurance. Other than these research projects, it is uh, uh, you can say that insolvency related a lot of projects, and his work, you can say that connected with insolvency very. In fact, law and economics, and recently he has presented his paper in various countries, including and China, Taipei, other countries. So with this, I welcoming Dr. Hitesh Kumar Thakkar to share his experience on how to do research in disability area, and especially being able, how he faced various issues. Sir, over to you, sir.
Firstly, thank you very much, and hope that we are starting on time, because it's not that we start at 6, but as and when we start alert and what we are discussing, that we take care. So I think Mary sir has missed out. I don't know why one more project we have done together. And the acid attack victims are also part of the disability. So I think we have done not 3, but we have done 4 projects. And hopefully all that project get the meaningful findings for the overall public domain. So firstly, I'm honored for the Center for Disability Study, Mary sir, Rao sir, and also I'm honored with I can say that we both are both have passed out in same year as a PhD scholar. So both are the same alumni batch of the PhD readings. He was representing from the law and I was representing from the interdisciplinary economics and law. So thank you very much, Kalpesh, for at least inviting me for this session. So for me, I think disability study, was quite a difficult task. Personally, as a not point of view from the able, but not knowing the ground reality from the disability side, it's quite tough to do research. So I think it was great that in all the project I was having the expert medicine with to guiding me that how we can design and come out with the questionnaire instrument. So most specifically, try to say that I always feel that economics have a better age compared to the law. So I always fight with Mary sir as and when we develop some instrument. So in our first project was the employment opportunities per se to locomotor and visually challenged. And I fight like with him anything. I say that it's quite tough to do a research like this. We can take only one disability. Why you want the all disability to be taken? And yeah, he he always disagree, but he give it pure logic why he disagree. And in that I was slightly in the other side. I was slightly looking from the statistics economics point of view. If we take 2 different disability and try to generalize, it may sometime require 2 different type of story to reflect the real thing. So it become very tough to do as a statistician, as a economist. But he was having answer for all that, and I think, and he gave proper logic. Even he is not from the economics and statistics, but sometimes I feel that he have better understanding of statistics and economics than me, because he know the ground reality. And sometimes ground reality, if somebody know, then it become quite easy and quite meaningful for the public domain to do research. So this was our first paper where we done the research with the empirical finding of those who are working in government organization, both locomotor and visually challenged. And we designed the questionnaire, and we have looked at whether that practical reality was being there or not in that questionnaire. So we found quite interesting that there are significant discriminations happen with regard to the promotions and financial benefit. Generally, in the government organization, mostly if you want to get promoted, if you want to get financial benefit, you have to do training. And disabled has to do same training, maybe not legitimate. And when you do same training and when you give same exam, at least sometime you may get difficult marks and you can't score up to that level. So you may also get, because of that cope-up, you could not make it in inappropriate way. So there were clear discrimination from the company side where they were not providing the opportunity and they were not coming out with specific disabled friendly program so that they also get opportunity and they also get the same promotion. A difficult, other interesting thing was that when we asked the question to the employer, whether you're satisfied with their work, whether you're satisfied with their commitment, whether whatever the tasks we have given to them, whether they perform up to the utmost efficient level, you will surprise that significant number. It was coming in 1 to 4 scale. Everybody was giving around 4, 5, 4, 5, and the average which was come around 4.5 or 4.6, something like that. So they were quite efficient in doing their task, but despite of doing their task, they were not being promoted to the higher scale and they were being denied. And I think it was quite reflective that we should put this research to the public domain. And that was their first project where me and Marissa as joint venture. Now, there is one other project we were doing, which was our main project, which funded by the ICSR, and Medicine was the principal investigator. And the project was accessibility of banking service to the visually challenged customers. So let me go in detail that topic, and then we'll try to see how best research we can do when you have such topic which is quite practical in nature, where banking services is as a primary right where everybody, and not only able and disabled, it is a primary accessibility, financial inclusion. If you look from the point of view, then it's a very basic right where at least all communities should be getting, and even the person with disability. So we are looking in this project whether the visually challenged customers are getting accessibility and they're satisfied with the banking operation. And in that, so before going that, I think it was better to know that what was the percentage of percentage which are living in rural and urban area. So we were having the data from the Gujarat lastly modified was 2022, and in that found that more than 10 lakh people live. They are disabled, and in that significant percentage, around 51% live in rural and 49 to 49.2% live in urban. And most alarming part was that even in that, around 46 to 7% are illiterate, and 50 to 53% are literate. So significant percentage are living in rural, along with significant percentage are the illiterate. So now, if you look that, then it becomes quite tough to do research for them. So the point was about the accessibility, and we want to see whether they get accessibility or not. But I think here also, I and Melissa was having some point of difference. I say that we will not go with some questions like whether they have account or not. Like, so he was stressing me to add not avail. Yeah, not having the account. He was stressing me to add that variable. And I said that if you're adding that variable, then I think it will become quite tough for generalizing the research. So I say not to reflect, not avail. We can ask their opinion that what is their perception. He was saying, I don't want to go with the perception. I want actually whether they are having account or not. And he stressed me and asked me to add not availed data. So initially I was quite not in agreement, and also I think sometime in law and economics you get multiple discussion and discourse, and sometime you come out with some common agreement. And here one common agreement was said that you're asking me to add not avail, but at the time of data analysis you don't tell me to do this analysis because I know what result will come, and that result will be something very difficult to analyze. And what I said, it happened also. So result, what I predicted, it has come like that. And I could not getting the answer to analyze how. So I talked to him multiple time. He was also get somehow somewhere that somewhere I should have agreed with what I was saying. But then we both understood that, yeah, something has come, then why not to look into that, why people are not availing the account. And we both thought that better to go ourselves. So I think Marisol has done very extensive research in the Patan. So he visited Patan district and he spent around 2 days there and tried to collect data from the Patan with regard to the disabled community, along with the data from the NGO. And also he interacted with the multiple bankers also. And he found out some answer and he was quite happy. He got something and he told me that answer. I said, no, I will not agree with you. Let me go in field and let me check. And I also went to the couple of district and I have seen the similar answer what I got. So I will tell you what was that answer in the course of time. But I personally tell if I have not added this variable not availed, then I may have not got the actual answer what was happening in the banking sector. And I think research maybe have funded and maybe have published, but may not be have got the desired result. So it's better, I think I've agreed with his times. It's sometimes defeated by law is sometimes not in agreement, but yeah, I'm so happy that I got defeated and what he said was coming out with the meaningful result for the disabled community at large. So I will tell you the result, but before going to the result, let's try to understand the law. What is the law says for regard to the accessibility of banking service to visually challenged customer. So if you go with UNCPWD Article 9, it clearly mentions that availability of all services. It's not mentioned about accessibility, but availability and accessibility, I think the more broader point of is availability. You first will avail, then we can talk about the accessibility. And the Article 12 do mention about both availability and accessibility of finances, including the all other products also. So that is what the point of view about the whether the disabled communities are getting accessibility for the banking service. That was our research, and we should have stick with that. But we included availability, and that was significant broader point of view. And yeah, we'll see what result we got, and that will provide us quite interesting study from the point of view of disability. Not only the state of Gujarat, any other researchers are attending. I think they may have scope to do similar research in other state, because I maybe have found some result, but maybe have something contrary result you find in some other state also, and there may be some interesting observation you may get from the other state also too. And surely I would like to fund any project which is not similar, which is going to some other demography, and would like to see similar kind of observation. And I think there is a clear chances that anybody can do research on ability of banking service to visually challenge customers in the any other state than Gujarat, because we have done accessibility, we have not done availability. Our scope was not availability. Still, we have done availability and accessibility both. So there's still possibility you can do research in ability also. So I am just skipping introduction, but try to understand that interest was looking law, what law says. And when you look at the law, then apparently you go with the Indian Constitution, and Indian Constitution clearly give the right for the, at least not to discriminate with regard to this very simple thing, which is a banking account. And when you look your law, you also try to see from the international law point of view also, and you have UN convention which do say that accessibility and availability to the person with disability with regard to at least banking and finance should be provided. And when you look that, then you also apparently developed your country's legislation, and accordingly we do have RPWD Act, and we have the parent legislation which do take care that we should ensure equality, and also we should provide the account to the person with disability. And in that regard, RPWD Act may have mentioned about the accessibility of banking service to the visually challenged. But when you look only from the RPWD Act, then also it is not sufficient. I think most of you know that when you look from the RPWD Act, then also you have to look who is the main regulator in the banking sector. And we know that RBI is the main main regulator in the banking sector. So RBI is very vigilant, and you can see before the RPWD Act, even when the PWD Act was there, he has come out with a specific circular for the accessibility. So in 2008, he has come out with a specific circular for the checkbook, ATM, locker services. They should not be denied on the ground of disability. Along with in 2009 also that the ATM is available every locality with the valid keypads. And 2020, banking says for a differently able person, he has come out with a specific guideline, and he take care of the availability and accessibility both the thing. And in 2021, they have come out with integrated amusement scheme. And recently in 2024, it was very surprising that if you see the guideline, I should have shown you that guideline. It has been joint statement, a joint guideline has been prepared by the Ministry of Finance and Reserve Bank of India with regard to accessibility of banking services. Now, in that specific guideline, both have clearly, loudly, and say strictly that you have to take care of accessibility of the banking and availability of banking to the visually challenged, visually impaired people. So it was, if you looked at guideline, then it looked like one 2 page of unformatted write-up. But I think they have clearly mentioned about that in recent 2024, and it was quite important because two bigger institutions, Ministry of Finance and RBI, both has come out with this guideline. So now what I was saying that, so law is clear that the visually challenged people have right with regard to the having banking account, and they have all right with regard to all the instruments which are being there per se to the banking account. Now here also we thought that let's collect data from the various stakeholders. So here VCC means visually challenged customer, and we have collected 1067 data from them. And banking employee, we collected 283 data, and from NGO, we collected 105 sample. I was not agreeing with Marissa with regard to having a different category like visually challenged bank employee. I said bankers are banker, either they're visually challenged, then also what is the cupping out with that? He said, if you have if you want to take data from the bankers, and same data when you take from the visually challenged banker, I think you will get surely a different answer, and that will be more sensitive and more reliable answer than compared to the what bankers may have thought. And then that was the reason that we added even the visually challenged bank employees. So we were having a 4 stakeholder, and we got 33 response from them. Now, what are the result? That's what I want to come so that at least I can share some other finding of some other research also. So let me directly go with the questions. So when you ask to the VCC, a visually challenged customer, with regard to, are you aware about RBI and IBA, Indian Banking Association guideline for visually challenged customer? You can see significant percentage said yes, VCC are aware about, but when you look from the employee point of view, 70% are saying no. So many of the bank employees are not aware what is the accessibility guideline for visually challenged. And these guidelines are not issued by a small agency. It is very highest agency which take care of the regulation of the banking sector. The banking sector do comply with the accessibility provision. So that was the response by them. Now, when you ask ATM card, when you ask to the VCC, whether you have ATM card, I think 51.92% said no. And when you ask same to the bank employee, then bank employee say 22. So you said many people are saying no, they don't have ATM card. So forget about credit card. So when we ask about credit card, then 96% say no, they are not. They don't have the credit card, and same bank employees somewhat lesser percentage, they say that it's 46%. So there is a difference between what bank employees say and visually challenged. But we should go with agreement with the what visually challenged. So that means significant percentage of the visually challenged you do not have access to the credit card. Now, a checkbook facility. I tell you that checkbook is having its own story, and I think I should share that story where that you can see the 72% visually challenged people believe that they don't have the checkbook facility, whereas bank employee around 22. I don't know, but I give all the credit to Marissa that he thought about something on checkbook. So we were doing research on something interesting phenomena, which was that inclusive insurance banking addressing mandatory signature. Now, firstly, I tell you that in VCC, in visually challenged, generally what happened that when you go to bank, then bank will not force you, but somehow somewhere convince you that you open a joint account. Now, as per the law, whether they are eligible to get single account, answer is big yes, they are eligible to get single account. but somehow, somewhere they are directed. If you ask any, that story I will tell later because these papers still we have not published, but we are interested to publish as soon as possible. But when you ask them to, they're eligible to get single account, yes, they are eligible. But mostly, if you see them, they are allowing to open joint account. And that's okay, joint account. And I ask mostly the banker point of view, why you are insisting for them joint account. So generally, they don't want to take responsibility if any fraud or anything happen, any somehow somewhere any error happened, then they want that it was by the main primary holder as a some other than the dependent as a, the disabled, yeah, maybe visually challenged people. So they deliberately don't want the primary holder as a single account holder. They want that it should be a joint account. And in the interview and discussion with the many the visually impaired people, we found that mostly the cheatings happen in joint account, and the cheatings are not done by somebody else, but they are done by own family member, their own relatives, their own guardians who are taking the part of this joint account. So if you ask personally to them whether they are interested for the joint account, you'll get clear answer no, but they don't have any option and they want banking account, so they do agree with the joint account. So, and in joint account, when you do, then forgery can happen with regard to signature because primary main will be with the first account holder, and there also you find the problem. And mostly why they agree with the joint account because of this problem of mandatory signature. Now, I do was not understanding initially what Mary sir and other law people were talking to me. They were saying that when you try to see mandatory signature, then visually challenge people. Try to see that when visually people challenge people will try to sign, they will sign all time different. I tell you, we also sign slight different, not too much different. If you ask, I ask Kalpesh to do his signature, he can see that he has made slight difference. But when you are visually, you don't know what you have made. So how you can say that you are doing different? So it happened that multiple times they will sign, then they will also make error. And we don't know whether we have signed or not. That also we can't identify because we can't see it. So, and when you can't sign and when you put a thumb impression, then in law point of view, yeah, and from the banking point of view, when you are doing thumb impression, then you are treating the visually impaired with the illiterate people. Now, whether it is a comparable to compare, like whether illiterate and person visually impaired who has already done PhD, who is a professor in some of the big institution, and you are treating same. And because of mandatory signature, you are not allowing to have a check book. So try to understand what data we got of checkbook was some interesting story there. And I think we have developed some model and we suggested that we require checkbook. We require checkbook to validate and make it that this is my own check and I want it is to going to the third party, it is going to the SEP. So this has to be validated by me. So is it only one mode of validation that is a signature? A validation can be now in the technological driven where you can do have a validation in some other way also. So we do have suggested validation, and I hope I'm audible and yeah.
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
Yeah. So those stories quite big, but I think I may require more time to discuss that story. But short and sweet, it was like that they were denied, and for denying checkbook story was multiple story was inside there, and it was better to reflect and has to soon to the public domain. So we do have written that paper, and that paper do got published in one of the best corpus journal. Right? And in that paper, we do have suggested one model, and that model I will show you. But let me go with the main story, which was availability and accessibility part. Whether there is the issue of accessibility, or there is a bigger issue which you find when you look into the disability study. So let me go with some other data. So internet banking services, you can see 77 disabled percentage the visually impaired people feel that they don't use the internet banking services, whereas bank employee says it is 42. Same mobile banking, you can see 70% has agreed they don't use, they never use the mobile banking, whereas 31 bank employees say they 31% use, never use. Locker facility also you find difference, 97% by the visually challenged and bank employee by the 22%. Now, this was the interesting questions whether they have availed the banking services, or whether they were given after they were denied, or they got after some argument, or they got after some intervention, or granted immediately. So this was the questions which was quite troubling to us. And if you see, when you take not aware data also, so in same never they have used, and also when you ask not aware, means they have not taken, the services has not been taken. So you ask about checkbook facility, so 56% say that they have not availed, whereas bank employees say 15%. When you talk about ATM facility, 40% say that they have not availed. And when you look bank employee, they say 17%. There are cases, I'm telling you, there are cases of denied also. 14% cases are denied with regard to ATM facility. 11% cases are there, they have got after some argument. And 5% cases are there where they got after some intervention. So it's not like only not available, but there are story of denied also. There are the cases where disabled people have to go and argue and go to the highest authority. Yeah, then later on they had put to some other intervention, and then they have got the ATM facility. So these cases are also there. But just I am insisting more on not avail, because there is some story behind not avail. And even in the mobile banking, you see the 70% has not availed what they say. And there are some cases which are denied and they got after some argument and after some intervention. So there is cases where significant percentage of ATM facility is not available, and it is coming around 40%. With regard to internet and mobile banking, 70% cases are there which have not availed. Credit card facility, 92% cases are not availed. And loan facility, 89% cases are not availed. Locker facility, 95% cases are not availed. Now, I'm just thinking why, and if you find some interesting anecdote, what is the reason that what are the reason behind not availing the some of the input? First, they are saying they have never used, so that we understood. But why significant, same proportionate highest percentage you are getting, they are not availed? Anybody want to put their opinion in the chat box? What is the reason behind not availing some of the very primary services? When you open banking services, you required a checkbook, and you do want that at least you get debit card, credit card. You do want to use mobile banking. You do want to use internet banking. Why they are not availing? What is the reason behind they are not availing? And that I say to you that we also got quite alarmed when we found significant percentage of people that they feel that significant people have not availed. And why this percentage is coming where not availed people are there. So if anybody have any underlines thing that why you get significant uh, percentage where significant percentage are not availing. If anybody want to make their observation in chat, anybody want to tell something why this result is coming. And I say that we got this finding when we have intensively done the field study, and when we interacted with the stakeholder, we were also quite unhappy about with regard to why people are feeling significant percentage people are feeling not availed of very important services which are in the bank has to be taken, and why they are not availing that. So,
Participant, any response from your side? You can put in the chat box or you can unmute and respond. Yes, please. Anyone?
Sir, maybe because of non-compliance with the eligibility criteria, like income criteria and all.
okay. This can be one of the reason. Very good. Anything else?
Sir, maybe if they take the loan, borrow something, and their if their address is not on the fixed, sometime it may happen that they have mentioned their address, but it is not fixed there. Sometime they are not available at the home,
Mhm.
so that could be the reason.
Okay. So in couple of interactions when we talk to them, and it's quite alarming and quite surprising, we found that firstly, there is a narrative set to them that firstly, you are not eligible to get single account. Moreover, you are not eligible to get any form of account, even the joint account. So if they get a single or joint account, they will accept with the bigger heart. So first thing is that. Second thing, there is clarity and there is clear clarity with the VCC, visually challenged customer, visually impaired people, that they are not eligible to get the credit card. They are not eligible to get the mobile bank. They are not eligible to get the internet services. And if they some maybe have tried, then they maybe have not got. Only they have got, only those who have tried, they maybe have got after some intervention, after some argument. Firstly, majority of they are illiterate and they clearly are in agreement with what the authority or whatever the banking employee maybe have said. They may be the agreement. So they have not tried at all, and if they have tried, then they have not directly got any the credit card, or debit card, or ATM services, or internet service. They have got only and only after somebody has majority have denied, because only few has agreed. Then they have denied. Then somebody maybe in that denied have gone with some argument that they maybe use some intervention. They may have got. Otherwise, there is no possibility of that. They may have got immediately. So there was clear narrative said that they will not able to get any debit card, yeah, credit card, yeah, ATM, yeah, even the banking services as a single account holder. When you go and you ask single account, then they will ask you to go back and they will not fill your form also, and they will not complete the procedure also, because bank do not want to take any risk here, because there is significant liability for them. If anything, thing happen which may unnecessarily create trouble to them. So, uh, So I think it's look quite difficult that when law is there, and law as a RPWD Act is there, which do take care of the significant rights of the person with disability. Along with, we have an institution like RBI which do come out with the specific circular which do take care that that the accessibility and availability is a main feature, and we should take care of the person with disability, and we should not deny them, we should not exclude them. And there are specific guidelines are set from time to time. In recent guideline also 2024, nothing has changed. People are not being availing. Because of that, they feel, and when they go to the system, they are clearly denied to not to get. And this information through mouth publicity along with them is also significantly huge, that they feel that they were not being able to get these services. So that's why the Medicare has then done the action research, and he has done multiple awareness program in the some of the villages and try to convince them this is your right. You should go and ask for first single account, and even if they are giving, if they are denying for checkbook facility, they can't deny. They should provide you alternative so that whatever the checkbook facility services you want to use, you can use it. There are various alternatives are there for the person with disability to how to use the checkbook facility. You will be surprised. We in our research we found that even you can validate checkbook through the a video phone. So the manager or the banking officer can contact you through video phone, and it can be recorded, and through that it can be validated. Forget about that. Now that we do have technology where Aadhaar link SMS can be, OTP can be set, and it can be made as one of the viable options, so that there is no the external fraud happen to them. So this was a quite interesting finding in that research. I don't know how much time I do have, Kalpesh, so then I can go with the second one within that detail.
Next session is 7 o'clock. Guest has already joined.
Okay, so I will just take 5 minutes if you allow me. 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay.
More than yeah.
Oh, okay, 5 minutes. Yes, Dr. Boopathi, sorry, we will wind up in 5 minutes. Welcome. Oh, over to Dr. Hitesh.
Yes. So this is also one interesting observation which presently we are doing, and you will be surprised that the problems what we found in accessibility of banking services are significant measure, though report has already been submitted to the funding agency. Hopefully, they consider and they further whatever the process they require to do it. Now, this is one other project we are doing, which is ensuring availability right to insurance services person with disability in the state of Gujarat. In this project, with couple of interview, couple of focus group discussion, and couple of interaction with the PWD community, we found that there is real requirement for doing right to insurance with the person with disability. Because what is happening that PWD community are in requirement of having the insurance. Specifically, we are focusing only two insurance, that is a health and life insurance. So we feel that these two are major important insurance. At least person who is working and who has good income, yeah, who have some of the income earning uh, uh, with them, they do want that at least their health is secured and their family members' health is secured. Along with they do get some life surety, maybe some of the term insurance and life insurance for them. So what is happening when they are going to the insurance company? I'm talking about the private companies. Maybe public, private means the public sector or private sector, whatever the. But we know that we purchase insurance product with the premium. So either they will be denied, either when it go with the medical verification, yeah, when they reflect their disability more than 40%. Then underwriter may subject to deny their right with regard to the health insurance. Underwriter may deny their right to the term insurance. You will be surprised, we found the cases of underwriters are denying with regard to travel insurance and the property insurance. And there are multiple, even motor vehicle insurance. We're surprised that in motor vehicle insurance, government guideline is that you have to, they use same scooter, but there's a modified scooter. So it's the same one. And here the government provide discount as subsidy to them, but generally they are paying significant huge premium, which is as per the law, they are doing wrong. So that is what in actual practice that is happening. So mostly, I think all of you know you're you're from the law stream, that the principle of utmost good faith prevail. And generally, agent guide here, this guide them, and they tell them that when you fill a form, you fill a form of normal people, yeah, the able people. So what happened when they do and make a wrong, filling a wrong one? That means they're not doing as per the principle of utmost good faith, and when they try to claim, then they face a problem, and their claims are significantly denied. And now, some of the story we found that why the people are asking them to do and asking them and suggesting them to fill a wrong form, and it is found that that they have the so they
Go
have,
ahead.
yeah, they have a portfolio where generally individual portfolio, agent portfolios are seen by the companies, whether you are how much claim you are bringing and how much uh, how much the premium you are bringing. So whether your premium is higher than the claim, then somehow somewhere your portfolio get somehow somewhere dirty and maybe portfolio get affected. So majority of are not interested to give them insurance services, and when they want to get and the BWD are in interest to take the insurance, then they generally make a wrong choice and they put their signs and where they don't see that where their disability has been hid. And in that case, when the matter go to the even to the any maybe grievance redressal, yeah, insurance ombudsman, yeah, maybe consumer court, yeah, high court, yeah, later any stage, I think they are in the false side, and their genuine, though they have not made error, it is the some disguidement done by the other party. They come to the that problem, and even sometimes they your own insurance name stake now it is online driven, so everybody knows about that you have done something wrong, and it go to the public domain as a long way. So this is what happening, and I think, yeah, so I think presently, I don't know, I don't have much time, so I may not go in that detail, but there are some interesting results we have found in the initial level, and hopefully, yeah, a couple of more time is there, and hopefully we'll do some more extensive research and may come out with some more valuable answer. And yeah, and hopefully I think Kalpesh and Maris may do in the next year. So I think that time we may be ready for the full part project
Yes, definitely.
outcomes,
And you can.
and surely we'll share.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
thank
Yeah.
you, Hitesh. Thank you, Hitesh, sir.
You can share your whatever articles, project outcomes are there. We'll share with the participants,
Yeah, yeah.
and they
I'll
can
share.
also explore. And then you rightly outline, identify the scope, Gujarat region and selected districts. So other can also take up in their state and district. So it will be fruitful outcome, I would say, and then it will help in policy making. So thank you very much, Dr. Hitesh, for your valuable time and insight. It's a great, I would say, people are doing various projects on different aspects, but again, it's a very niche area, I would say. And some of the participants, like as we discussed, have been discussing for last 1 week, we are not discussing too much about, disability. And a lot of things are associated. It's not only like, you can see you're talking about financial banking services, and so many things are there day-to-day life. So they're literally deprived of all the facilities that what we are having right now as a able person. So thank you very much once again, and see you in the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So our
Thank you, sir.
second guest is already joined, Dr. Boopathi. I request Priyanshu Saxena to proceed. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the
Boopathi, sir.
sixth.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, very much audible, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Let Priyanka ma'am welcome you. Then we will start, sir. Yeah, over to you, Priyanka ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the sixth day of our 10-day online capacity building program on disability laws, a collaborative initiative between Pro Bono India and GNLU Center for Disability Studies, Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar. I, Priyanshu Saxena, Assistant Professor from Mewar Law Institute, Ghaziabad, will be your host for the session. Today, we have the honor of hosting Dr. Boopathi P., Assistant Professor from Department of English Studies at Central University of Tamil Nadu. Let's talk something about Dr. Boopathi. He's a renowned scholar in literary and cultural disability studies and currently leads the enabling unit for persons with disabilities at CUTN. His doctoral research from EFL University, Hyderabad has earned him international acclaim with prestigious institutions like German Historical Institute in Warsaw and European University at St. Petersburg, supporting his academic work. Now, as a trailblazer in Indian academia, Dr. Boopathi has developed and teaches one of the first specialized courses on literary and cultural disability studies for postgraduate students. And his scholarly contributions have been featured in leading international publications by Routledge and Peter Lang, establishing him as a leading voice in disability discourse. With more than 50 keynote addresses delivered across Indian University, Dr. Boopathi brings both theoretical depth and practical insights to our learning community. So this evening, he will guide us through the intricacies of Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI Act 1992. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Boopathi P. Dr. Boopathi, we are eager to learn from you. Most welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I continue? Can I begin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So thank you very much, Dr. Priyanka, for the very generous introduction. I hope I really live up to that level. I'm trying just to do whatever I can do from in my capacity. At the outset, I thank my dear friend, Dr. Maris Port from Center for Disability Studies, Gujarat National Law University. He has been inviting me quite often, and almost every year I have the honor of delivering talks in JNLU online. Whatever program he organizes, he always invites me. I really thank him for the opportunity. I also thank our friend Dr. Kalpesh Kumar for inviting me, and more importantly, for thinking about for having the thought about such a session, such an FDP on disability legislation. In India, it's a very, very timely FDP. I must say, it is not a very ceremonial way of saying it. I don't say it just for the sake of saying it. I really mean it because I work in disability studies. I know, what kind of interventions are needed, particularly from law discipline, because we know in Nalsar, Hyderabad, Professor Amita Danda and others, they do a lot of activities, a lot of seminars, a lot of workshops. But in other places, and I have not seen any sort of intervention from other national, I mean, of course, the GNLU is one such exception. They even set up the Center for Disability Studies. But organization like Pro Bono India coming together, organizing this sort of a thing is very, very important because it's a very renowned organization, Pro Bono India. Dr. Kalpesh Kumar is actually founder of it, and it's very, very important to have a discourse on disability legislation in India. And more importantly, having certain topics like, for example, RCI Act, this National Trust Act of Multiple Disabilities, Cerebral Palsy, and autism, and other things, And these are very minor acts. People don't discuss more about it. People always talk about RPWD Act and Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. Whenever they talk about anything in connection to disability legislation. But they don't talk about, for example, the previous session on insurance is very, very important. Even today, majority of the disabled, shall I say, almost all the disabled are in a way not considered for life insurance. Actually, they are the people who really need life insurance, but they are not being considered. And I'm also, I have the, I mean, I stand as a very, very important example. I was asked to pay, and later my money was sent to me back by saying that, the medical team did not recommend because you have RP, you have this problem, that problem. So these are on paper, they don't say that, they don't give insurance to disabled people, but they find one or the other way to reject applications. Recently also, one of my friends' applications have been rejected. Had I not been disabled, I would have been a potential, customer for the insurance. I would have heard, shall we say, minimum 3 to 4 crores of, term cover. But rather, on the other hand, I'm struggling to have, let's say, 50 lakh term cover itself. So that's a very important thing to talk about it, because on the other hand, in India, there are a lot of discourse. I myself have delivered so many talks on sociological, cultural, literary, political, aspects of disability in India, but also religion and disability, right? But disability legislation, quite ironically, this is the field which actually emerged first in India. In fact, if you could trace the disability rights movement, started in India in 1970 by National Federation of Blind, NFB. It was earlier NFBG, blind graduates. Later, it sort of gave birth to, it was changed to NFB in 1973. And that sort of almost 25, 30 years of struggle. Then when Javed Abidi joined in 1991 with his organization NCPDP as a cross disability movement, we had, there was a conference organized in 1993. After that, in 1995, the government of India enacted RPWD Act. In 1996, it was entered in Gazette, right? So all these things we know. But there's something like law is something quite in a way old discipline in terms of disability studies is concerned. But what is happening in India is people, of course, there are a lot of lawsuits are being filed in sessional courts, high courts, and apex courts, Supreme Court. But hardly we find that, such a discussion, such a deliberation is happening in terms of academia. It's a very, very important intervention. I must thank the organizers for having thought about it, and for particularly having thought about RCI Act 1992. It has a historical significance, and it also has a present day, I must say, certain frustration, certain I would say unsatisfaction, because the act was amended last time only in 2000. And even today, if you could look at the RCI website, official website, disabled people are referred as handicapped. But in the amendment, they removed it. According to RPWD Act, they shouldn't be called, the PWD Act, this 1995, disabled people should not be called as handicapped. They should be called as persons with disabilities. But still, even now, if you look at the website, you can find they are being called as handicaps. Anyway, handicap. So that's a different story. But let's try to get into this, act. Then I will, what I have prepared as a sort of outline for my, rather the structure of my talk today would be, I would be dwelling first, in the first half, I'll be dwelling on the idea of RCI Act, how it came into existence, what was the background, and I would also talk about what in a way compelled for the amendment that came out in the year 2000. Just 1 year later, this National Trust Act, was enacted in the Parliament. Then I would talk about the impact that RTI Act had, in a way, in early 2000 or also late 2000, in terms of the lives of persons with disabilities. And I would also talk about after 2010, RCI, of course, it played a very crucial role in terms of RTE Act. When RTE Act came into existence in 2009, rights of, right to education, compulsory and free education Act, 2009, when it guaranteed, children from age of 6 to 14 should have compulsory education. And of course, disabled children were also included. What kind of role RCI as a statutory body played? What kind of impact it has created? And what kind of results that we are seeing today with the implementation of inclusive education? Every year, the government is spending more than 1,000 crores of money on inclusive education, especially teaching children with special needs or children with disabilities. So these are the kind of topics that I have prepared as a sort of outline, a structure of my talk today. I'll begin with the kind of background for the enactment of RCA Act in 1992. As you can see, like the first ever legislation for the disabled in terms of ensuring their rights, equal opportunity, and full participation came out only in 1995. It was passed in the Parliament, but it was implemented from 1996. But as an insider, as a person with a disability, I must say that the real fruition of this act, the benefit of PWD Act, was felt by people with disabilities only, I must say, in the mid of 2000. And in the educational institutions, particularly in higher educational institutions, in terms of reservation for students, reservation for in the faculty recruitment, started only after 2010. It's a history. Many universities implemented PWD Act 3 years before RPWD Act was enacted. You see, 2016, RPWD Act was passed exactly after 21 years. But even before the PWD Act, sort of witnessed any sort of a tangible result, RPWD Act was passed. That's a very important thing, because based on the ratification of UNCRPD in 2006, RPWD Act was passed. But in terms of RCI Act 1992, 3 years before the first ever disability legislation which ensured protection of rights for the disabled in India was passed in the parliament, we had RCI Act enacted by the parliament. And the run-up to the RCI Act was a very, very long struggle. And we, even before that, from 1986 onwards, we got this Rehabilitation Council. It was registered as a society based on Society Act. When you know very well, because I come from English studies, 1860 Society Act. It was registered as a society, not as a statutory body, from 1986 onwards. 1992, September 1st, the act was enacted in the parliament. In almost like from June 22, 1993 onwards, the act actually what was implemented. It is the day on which the act was entered officially in the Gazette of India. So, the run-up to the enactment of RCI Act, which sort of in a way established Rehabilitation Council of India as a statutory body, is very important, because though we have Rehabilitation Council set up in the year 1986 based on Society Act, almost after 7 years we had, almost after 6 years we had this RCI Act passed in the Indian Parliament. And even if you could look at 1986, what compelled, there are a couple of things happened in 1986. Throughout the world, the decade 1980 is a crucial decade in the lives of people with disabilities, because United Nations declared 1980 to almost 1980 as the crucial decade of persons with disabilities, because so many awareness programs were conducted, so many sort of programs in terms of spreading the conditions, spreading the awareness, spreading the what kind of issues that the disabled face, the issues faced by the disabled, were in a way sort of conducted. So many sort of awareness sessions were conducted. That decade was declared as the decade of disabled people, 1980s. And in Indian context, 1980, almost 1986 or 1987, if I'm not mistaken, reservation in C and D post, group C and D categories, was introduced for people with disabilities by the government of India. So, even before the disability legislation was there, there were attempts to sort of what you call uplift people with disabilities. Disability reservation was introduced. And also, we can find 1980s is a crucial period in terms of history of disability rights movement in India, because to the end of the end of 1980s, especially toward the later period of 1980s, witnessed a great paradigm transformation shift in terms of the movement, disability rights movement, transforming from movement of the organized blind to that of cross disability movement, meaning for almost 2 decades, disability rights movement was started, carried forward, in a way effectively run by people with blindness, because the blind graduates who came out of like blind schools in Delhi, Lucknow, tried to apply for their higher education in the colleges of Delhi University. they were not allowed to study. They were not allowed to take admission by saying that they cannot study higher education. They cannot study in the inclusive setup. So they were asked to go back to the what you call the vocational training, like caning chair, making pinoil, making incense sticks, bookbinding. They were told that these are the courses would be viable to you rather than taking BA in political science, BA in English, BA in Hindi, BA in sociology, like that. So they started the movement by saying that it is our right to get education. When we are capable, when we are able to study, why are you asking us to go for vocational training? So in a way that toward the end of 1980s, people with different disabilities, particularly people with physical impairment, they were also finding different sorts of issues in India. When blind people found had the problem of not being admitted into higher educational institutions, like the premier university like Delhi University, and here Madras University, almost throughout India, people with the physical impairment, they had different issues in terms of accessibility. And Nasima Hazrat, in her autobiography titled "Incredible Story," right? She says that because she was a very renowned activist in Maharashtra through her organization titled, called the Helpers of the Handicapped. In 1980s, she was trying to sort of, move in the cities like Kolgapur and Mumbai in her wheelchair. She found that many places were not accessible, almost all the places. The government offices were not accessible. Even for that matter, the idea of wheelchair was quite new in India in 1980s, because when she went to London, she got a new wheelchair. So that's a different story. So the point is, for physically impaired, they were having issues with accessibility. Blind people, they were having issues with admission. So all these things were sort of, in a way, trying to sort of, reach the peak, trying to sort of boil together. And toward the end of 1980s, disabled people felt, irrespective of their disability, that it was the high time that they come together, start a cross disability movement, and pressurize the government to come up with disability legislation. So that's where that's a very huge struggle, long struggle. But how do we factor RCI, Rehabilitation Council of India? If we look at the history of disability in the 20th century, we can very clearly find there are different discourses. You have charity model, you have religious model, you have social model. You also have something called a rehabilitational model, that disability can be cured. Disabled people can be rehabilitated. Disabled people can be sort of made as quote unquote able-bodied, quote unquote normal people through prosthetic leg, through audiology, through speech therapy, through like different sorts of there are like rehabilitation engineers. So 1960s, 70s, and 80s, particularly 1970s and 80s, are the 2 decades throughout the world witnessed the birth of rehabilitation organizations. Especially the discourse of rehabilitation began from 1940s, particularly from late 1940s in the global north, especially the Western countries, because large number of disabled people, in a way, large number of, I must say, soldiers who participated in the war became disabled. They lost their legs, they lost their hands. Some of them were blinded. Some of them became almost like mobility disabled. They couldn't move. So, and First World War and Second World War, particularly Second World War, created large number of disabled people, lots of disabled people in countries like Germany, like UK, also in other France, Poland, all these countries, there were large number of disabled people. So they were the governments or the states across the European nation, felt the need to sort of rehabilitate these people, because earlier the state was saying disability is an individual problem. Disabled people suffer from personal tragedy. Disabled people are the sinners according to the Old Testament, But after the two world wars, the states across the Western nations felt the need to sort of rehabilitate thousands and thousands of war veterans who became disabled in the war, because they fought for the state, nation. They fought in the war front, and they became disabled. It was the states felt that it was their fundamental responsibility to rehabilitate them. That is where rehabilitation science emerged. That is where rehabilitation organizations throughout Europe were set up. And many hospitals, many institutions were set up. In India, in 1986, we had Rehabilitation Council as a society was, as I told you, established, because it was primarily based on the Western influence, because throughout the world by 1980, at least in the Western world, there were hundreds and hundreds of rehabilitation institutions. In various states, also in India, there were lots and lots of rehabilitation institutions were set up. People who lost their legs in the accident, some sort of people who became blind in flu, in some sort of even through smallpox also, a lot of people became in a way blind, right? So they were trying to be in a way rehabilitated. There are 12 to 13 types of professionals, rehabilitational professionals. RCI has in a way sort of what you call recognized, right? So we see very clearly that the causes or the circumstances which made Government of India in 1980s, particularly in the mid 1980s, to set up Rehabilitation Council as a society. And the circumstances include large number of accidents, large number of diseases, which left many people with disabilities. And also there was a belief that people with the disabilities can be rehabilitated, can be made as a normal, because increasingly they were becoming a burden to the exchequer of the government, right? Both in the West as well as in the East, right? So when they were when they are made to be in a way or rehabilitated to be a normal person, they would also participate in a nation building process. That's a very important intervention, very laudable intervention. In by 1990, 1991, particularly 1991, 1 year before RCI Act was passed in the Indian Parliament, Javed Abidi came to the disability sector, disability rights movement. Someone who studied in the Western country, particularly US, someone who had a very illustrious experience, came to India, started NCPDP, and who strongly believed, two important things. One is class disability model alone can bring tangible result in terms of bringing in disability legislation. Number two is someone who in a way believed that, very firmly believed that simply doing dharna, simply doing sit-ins, simply doing fasting, blocking roads or road rocos are not going to help disabled people to have any sort of a tangible result. So instead, what he did, he started, a very important, or rather, he introduced a very important aspect into a disability rights movement called advocacy, that is lobbying. From activism to advocacy, that is a very important shift that disability rights movement in a way witnessed in the beginning of 1990s. And all these things in a way contributed immensely. In fact, the first thing is to enact Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, PWD Act 1995, and more importantly, the immediate result was RCI Act. Right. So, what is this RCI Act? What does it entail? Why it was in a way passed in the Indian Parliament? Many of you might be wondering, even before disability rights rights were in a way protected by the Indian Parliament, the rehabilitation, the right to have rehabilitation, or rehabilitating hundreds of disabled people in India was rather felt by the government to be an immediate necessity rather than having a disability rights enacted in the parliament. Why? The reason I already told you. Because 1970s and 1980s, especially in the global south, witnessed an increasing amount of intervention in terms of rehabilitation in the lives of people with disabilities. So that is why the state felt that it was an important intervention to have a RCI Act, Rehabilitation Council of India Act, passed in the parliament. Right? So the RCI Act, it is divided into three chapters. The first is, preliminary session. Second is Rehabilitation Council of India. What are all its constitutes? What are all its key components? Third is the functioning of Rehabilitational Council. Right? So it talks about a lot of things. The before we get into the intricacies of or the nuances of RCI Act, let us first try and understand, what it actually focuses primarily. It primarily focuses not on the disabled people. It's very important. It focuses on rehabilitational professionals. As I said, it's a statutory body. It tries to regulate, it tries to standardize rehabilitational practices in India through what we call very stringent sort of a mechanism, very standardized, standard sort of setup. It in a way tries to sort of what you call intervene in various levels. Number one, in terms of making or creating large number of rehabilitational professionals. Number two, in terms of I would say developing many special educators. And number 3, recognizing large number of educational institutions, training institutions in India to grant qualification certificates to individuals to become rehabilitational professionals or personals. So it's a regulatory body. It is not a welfare body. We need to we need to understand it very clearly. It's a regulatory body. It tries to regulate the training and the sort of practices offered to people who take rehabilitational science, who study rehabilitational science, be it is those who want to become rehabilitational engineers, those who do audiology, speech therapy, those who want to be trained in education, those who want to be trained in mobility and orientation, mobility training and orientational practice, for people with disabilities. There are a lot of professionals. There are a lot of types of professionals are being recognized by RCI, right? So those are very important, sort of types. But overall, what we need to understand is RCI does not, as they have very clearly said it in their FAQs also, that they have uploaded it on their website. It is not a body to empower persons with disabilities. It is rather the body to streamline, regulate, and standardize training courses, for when offered to individuals in the field of rehabilitation sciences. And it also in a way certifies it actually certifies vets, it does vetting in terms of certificate courses, diploma courses, PG diploma courses, degrees, PG degrees, all sorts of also there's refresher courses, short-term courses in the areas of rehabilitation, right? So that these are the certain focuses of certain areas in which RCI and a way sort of focuses on. And if you look at the constitution of RCI, right? So RCI, as I told you, it was set up as the statutory body. It has a complete autonomy. Now it is under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It closely works with the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, DEPWD, under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And it has chairperson. It also has several members from different sorts of fields. For example, members from 3 different ministries: welfare, health, finance. Also, it has members from this one, Indian Medical Council, ICMR. It has members from social work practitioners. It has members from union territories and states. It has members from different bodies. Different sets of different sets, different fields of people who work in different fields, different governments. Different organizations, right? It's a very well set up, well thought out, statutory body. And if you look at the term of members, it's 2 years. All these things are in a way very clearly stated in the RCI Act. It is just a very small document, roughly 15 to 16 pages. Other 2 pages you find what are all the rehabilitation institutions being recognized by RCI, and all these things you find it in the last 2 pages. But in terms of certification, in terms of recognition, RCI is very particular. One of the very important things, like we have this National Medical Council, it gives this registration number to the doctors by checking, their qualification. It has certain, like mechanism, right? Certain regulations as to whom, like NMC can actually give the number, right? Similarly, RCA also gives number. It has Central Rehabilitational Record, CRR. It's a very important thing because this record, like maintained by RCI, very, very, clear and very, very rigorous way. And it often, in a way, sort of visits the institutions. And it has recognized so far over, like 800 institutions in India, to offer certificate courses, diplomas, degree courses in rehabilitation, right? So those are certain facts in terms of that you can see in the RCI Act itself. And broadly, you can see RCI Act in terms of 3 levels. Number 1, rehabilitational professionals. Number 2, the institutions, right? Number 3, the courses. So one is the individual, the professionals. Second is the individuals. Number 3, courses. And in terms of professionals, as I told you, it only sort of recognizes those individuals who have taken rehabilitational training in the RCI recognized institutes, and they should have, and the curriculum, pedagogy, everything is certified by RCI, vetted by RCI. Also, after completing the course, they have to send this. They have now, RCI is following online mechanism, online platform. They have to upload everything, and RCI will vet it, will evaluate it, will will enter their name in the central rehabilitation record. Then it will issue the RCI, number, and it is valid only for 5 years, which means every 5 years the individual is expected to update their knowledge in rehabilitation science, so on and so forth. And in terms of in the institutions, RCI is open to sort of recognize any institution, any organization which specializes in rehabilitation, which specializes in terms of empowering people with disabilities, all these things. And it also, in a way, sort of recognizes international institutions also, institutions that are outside India, right? That operate in terms of rehabilitational, activities, services for people with disabilities. In terms of curriculum, that's a very important thing. RCI plays a very, very vital role in terms of, I would say, vetting curriculum, recognizing curriculum, also evaluating curriculum, in some instance, framing curriculum for teaching children with disabilities, especially special educators. And one cannot, in a way, teach children with the disabilities without the approval of RCI. And also, the material that has to be imparted to children with the disabilities could have been certified by RCI in terms of special schools and other things. So RCI approves special schools also. It's a very rigorous system. As if you look at the kind of principle with which, or the ideology with which the RCI was enacted, implemented in India. But I should also say that if you look at the last amendment that was brought out in RCI Act, it was brought out in the year 2000. And if you could also look at this act, this amendment, it's just 3 pages, you'll realize that this amendment was done in conjunction with Persons with Disabilities Act 1995. So you see, 5 years after PWD Act was passed, RCI made an amendment. RCI Act, there was an amendment. What kind of amendments? Number one, you see, handicapped was replaced with persons with disabilities. Very important, very welcoming in a way amendment, because the word handicapped has a very pejorative, insulting context, because in the medieval period, also in the 16th and 17th century, disabled people were given caps in their hand to beg, to get bread. It was like a sort of what you call like Indian context. You have someone roaming with a plate, while begging. In the Western context, people were roaming with a cap, because also it has a context. Why were they roaming with the caps? Because the caps are like little, if you look at the depth of the cap in the West, because they were very sturdy, very heavy cap, because of in order to protect themselves from heavy winter, right? It is minus 10 degree, 15 degree and all. When I went to Russia, I saw a cap which was like very, I mean, it's almost like very huge, almost a half a feet, depth, very sturdy sort of a cap. So you can put things in the cap, right? So those who are roaming with the caps in their hand were called as handicapped. It's a very insulting terminology. It directly refers to disabled as beggars. So it was amended. It was changed with self-respect terminology called persons with disability. Right? And also this chairperson, who can, earlier the RCI Act says people who are specialized in rehabilitation science can only be the chairperson. So this amendment says people who have long-standing experience in rehabilitation, education for the disabled, disability service can be the chairperson. And also like 30 days from the completion of course to the RCI Act says 30 days to apply for the RCI number, RCI registration. After completing the course, within 30 days one has to apply. Now it has been increased to 60 days. I mean, nothing much, was in a way amended. These are very ceremonial sort of amendments. But you see today we are in 2025. And RCI Act, if you look at it, what are the people it caters to in terms of rehabilitation? It caters to blind, deaf people, physically locomotor disabled, that is who are physically impaired, mentally retarded. Only 4 types of people. I think by now you're thorough with the kind of a disabilities have been recognized by RPWD Act or have been entailed in RPWD Act. 21 types of people with a disability, 21 types of disabilities. Now, if someone files a case, that's where I'm coming to the problems in RCI. Today, we have, now the government is also very keenly focusing on SLD, specific learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities like autism, like thalassemia, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy. You look at cerebral palsy also, right? And multiple sclerosis. Those people cannot in a way have and leave this all this cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis. Think about the intellectually disabled. Jamia Millia Islamia, in their education department, they are offering 3 types of special education. One is for disabled blind people, Second is for deaf children. Third is for intellectually disabled, right? But how many institutions in the country offers special education for or special BEd in intellectual education, to teach intellectually disabled children, right? When I went to Poland, last month I was in Poland. I was on a Erasmus visiting professorship. I visited certain schools in Poland. There, I was shocked to find, I was rather surprised to find, in fact, that they focus more on children with the intellectual disabilities. Every school, in fact, at least one in five schools in Poland has, or rather have, this sensory room where children with the intellectual disabilities are given special training, special education, right? So as part of the inclusive school itself, right? So, but I don't know, I'm very sorry to say, I don't know how many of there are, on record the government says 27,774 special educators have been recognized. They are being paid salary by the government of India. How many of them are specialized in intellectually teaching children with intellectual disabilities? Because why I'm saying is that if you look at special BEds, BEd courses are being offered across India. You find there are more focuses on children with the blindness, children with the deafness. But today, of course, the UGC in the last 3-4 months has conducted countless sessions. It keeps sending to universities to conduct awareness sessions on SLD, specific learning disability. That's a very serious concern. For example, dyslexia, dyscalculia. Dyslexia means there are children who can only read the letters, they cannot put it into words and they cannot read it. Dyscalculia, there are children who cannot count. They are grown up. If you tell them like 2 plus 2, they cannot say it is 4. Dysgraphia, right? So they have problems in terms of with writing. They cannot write, right? So these are 3 types of disabilities come under SLD, specific learning disabilities. If we conduct a diagnostic test, the data say, people say that at least 3 to 5 children or 10 children out of 100 will be having SLT. Now the point is, there is no amendment in RCI. It's a very serious concern. An act which was passed 3 years before the first ever legislation for people with disabilities continues to operate with very, you think about 1992 situation, knowledge of disability, 2025 knowledge of disability. Now we are talking about 21 types of disabled, right? So that's why I say, even someone goes to someone who is intellectually disabled, a parent of intellectually disabled child goes to the court and says that, see, there is my child is not being, the curriculum that is adopted by the school is not suitable for the children, but for my child. The court, of course, can give a judgment based on RTA Act only, not based on RCI Act. Because RCI Act, you go through it, there is no mention of intellectually disabled. In fact, there was no idea of intellectually disabled in 1990s, also in 2000. Right? So you see very clearly, these are certain, I would say, issues in terms of RCI. But recently also, we submitted our feedback to a letter syllabi sent by RCI to all the universities in, I don't know how many universities also responded. That's a different story. RCI now is planning to give a training program to teachers who teach in inclusive schools about how to teach children with disabilities. Now, friends, please understand, if you take, let's say that FDP on teaching children with disabilities 10 days, will you be able to handle children with disabilities in the classroom who are 7-year-old, 8-year-old, right? Because in disability studies, we always say that if we find a disabled person, let's say if you come across a disabled person, there are mixed feelings come to our mind. Number one is curiosity, frustration, pity, fear, right? There are like, mixed feelings, anxiety. Let's say you walk on the road, there is a totally blind person walking with a stick in front of you. You have not met him earlier, you're meeting him for the first time. You can count the kind of feelings that you will get. Those feelings are not similar. You will feel pity, you will feel fear. What if this fellow runs into, bumps into a bus or something? You will feel, frustration, right? You will all feel anxiety. Will he be able to safely reach home? He may be very good in terms of mobility. He may be walking on the same road every day, but the very appearance of disability creates mixed feelings, mixed emotions, right? So the point I'm trying to make you understand is, in terms of, this intellectually disabled, in terms of disability as a condition, it's a very complex thing. Merely by getting training program, of course, RCI, the syllabus is all well drafted. It talks about certificate course and all these things, well drafted. And I was also part of many meetings with RCI. RCI is trying to do a lot of things. But the point is, sadly, the chairperson of RCI, the term is only 2 years, right? You see, with the 2 years, what will you do? Someone is appointed as in 2 years. You have member secretary and all these things. You need to have at least 5 years in order to conceive certain policies, roll out the policy, see the implementation, see the ground level implementation and the impact, right? So 2 years is again a limited period, because at least 5 years should be there. Also, in terms of because it's a statutory body, the body works with the members, and RCI Act says once in a year RCI can have a meeting with all members. See, that the problems of disabled children are many. If you look at the inclusive education situation, now in a block, every block, 2 teachers are being appointed. Let's say that the block has 15 schools, right? 2 teachers are being appointed. So 15 schools will be divided by the 2 teachers as 7 schools. 1 teacher will do 8 schools. And the schools are located, every school is located almost like in a block, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers. Let's say that this Monday, the teacher goes to 1 school. There are two blind children, there are 3 deaf children, and 1 intellectually disabled child. The teacher teaches that thing. That is where that is also a problem, because the teacher would have been trained in teaching blind children. The teacher may not know Indian Sign Language. The teacher will not definitely know how to teach children with intellectually disabled, because except metropolitan and I would say elite schools, that will be like probably you can less than 50, less than 20 or something in India. All the other schools do not have sensory rooms to teach intellectually disabled. Even I did not know that we need to have a sensory room to teach children with intellectually disabled until I went to Poland. I myself witnessed it. Such a huge room with a teacher who has been specifically trained in intellectually disabled. Because autism is a very, very complex disability. It's it's very complex. We cannot simply teach. A teacher who is trained in teaching blind children cannot teach intellectually disabled children. And the pathetic thing is, the teacher will come to the school only after 1 week, because the teacher has to go to other schools. Right? What will you teach in 1 day? The 1 week of lessons taught to the able-bodied children have to be taught to the children, this disabled children, in 1 day. See, that's the ground level reality. Now, friends, now the situation is, now I know that the developed states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala, the situation is quite pathetic. I don't know, you can think about other states. Tamil Nadu, the budget for disabled welfare itself is over 1,000 crores, 1,200 crores every year. Then also, special schools for the blind. There's a school in Tanjore. It's a higher secondary school for the blind children, right? And in that school, there are 80% of teacher vacancy. My students who went to teach, who went to do internship, I sent them to do internship for 10 days. That the school administration asked me if they can stay there for another, come there for another 10 days extra to finish the syllabus. My students went there to learn how to teach blind children. On the first day itself, they were asked to teach, because many classrooms are vacant without teachers. They were, if that is the situation in the developed states like Tamil Nadu, you think about other states in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, the situation is very bad, But what I'm saying is, there is no point in enrolling children, giving simply pass. What will they do? What will they do when they come to higher education? How will they cope with syllabus like NEP? Different types of things. And NEP, of course, if you look at NEP syllabus, NEP draft, there are 2 sections on children with, people with the disabilities. One is in terms of school education. Second is in terms of higher education. In school education, they are talking about homeschooling. See, homeschooling is again exclusion. It is not inclusion. In the name of inclusive education, what we have in India is exclusive education only. Because disabled, I know the pain of sitting in the classroom when other students were learning something. I will be sitting in the classroom. My teacher will, sort of what you call, at least I'm a person with the blindness. I could understand something. I could follow in terms of science and social science, and that teacher will explain. Right? So, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, you just think about, sitting in a classroom all through the day without understanding anything, what is being transpired to other children, other able-bodied people. So, it is inclusion. It's not only about admission. We need to understand this thing very clearly. People very wrongly understand inclusion for disabled children, just like SC, ST, OBC, EWS reservation. If you admit children with the SC community or ST category community or OBC community into the classroom, there is no problem. They are able-bodied people, they will learn. But if you admit a disabled child, the actual work begins not with admission, but after admission. And that's the reason why the dropout ratio is very high. You just think about, how many schools are having sign language interpreters, and many deaf people, after completing school education in the special schools, and that to the special schools and Tamil Nadu, I can tell you, there are only 10 special schools. And if you, by the government, if you put the government, if you calculate private special schools for the deaf, it will be like another 15 or 20. Let's assume 30 special schools. There are roughly around 20 to 30 special schools for the deaf. In those 20 to 30 special schools for the deaf, you have large number of special deaf children have to be educated. After they come out of the schools, I must say, I'm from Central University of Tamil Nadu. I'm also the coordinator of enabling unit. I don't have any hesitation in admitting we cannot teach students with deafness. We don't have sign language interpreter. And it is not a situation of my university. It is a situation of University of Hyderabad also. The university which is ranked in the top 5 institutions in the NIRF ranking. But they only consider academic merit. So we are very systematically excluding whole set of disabled students who are potential enough to participate in nation building. That's a very important thing. So when we come to school education, it's a very pathetic situation. And in fact, we need to also understand that in Tamil Nadu, when I was writing exams, there will be in a district, there will be like 2 or 3 people who will be needing scribe. But today, in a district, there are 200, 300 scribes, meaning the school administration is appointing scribes for children with intellectually disabled, children with the deafness, children with some sort of learning disabilities, because the scribes will write exams for them so that these children will pass, and the government will the state will have large number of the what you call the state the census, the data that like in Tamil Nadu, disabled children, like 20 only there are 87% of disabled children are educated. But what are they going to do with the degree? What are they going to do with the certificate? Right? So when intellectually disabled children, in sort of what you call made to complete school education without being properly trained in the assistive technology, what are they going to do in higher education? And in India, mostly, I think many of you, all of you in fact would agree with me, many teachers who teach in inclusive schools, they are not effective in handling children with disabilities, but they are more effective in terms of imparting their sympathy. What is happening is there is a sympathy model that is working. Oh, this child, is really, like sort of suffering a lot. I would do something. I would write exam for him. I'll make him pass. But that is an injustice to the child. We are promoting the child without giving him what actually he needs. We will obviously be having 10 standard certificate, 12 standard certificate. On the other hand, we are talking about improving skills, imparting skills, skill-based education, entrepreneurship. But those things find no meaning in the lives of people with disabilities. So, that's the larger problem. And even today, many disabled children do not have certificates. The parents do not want to admit that they have a disabled child because they think that it's a stigma. And many parents who are really affordable, who can really provide a very good education to their child, who are really well off, they don't want to admit. They simply lock their children in the house. So that's the very sorry state of affair. But now what I say is, it is when RCI was amended, Act was amended in 2000, after 5 years of enactment of PWD Act in 1995, today it is 2025, right? RPWD Act, which is the most effective act, because this act was drafted by looking at the developments throughout the world, particularly UNCRPD, it's a United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, 2006. Also this ADA, American with Disabilities Act, DDA, Disability Discrimination Act in UK, and other things. So it is high time that we amend RCI Act and sort of like include sections on like intellectually disabled children and specific learning disabled children, and also certain other things in terms of inclusive education, in terms of because now what I see, the implementation of inclusive education is utter failure now. Why? Because it is not to, I'm not saying that the government is not doing anything. The government is spending for education of children alone over 1,100 crores. Right? Over 1,100 crores of money being spent. Right? There are like 27,700 odd, special educators being paid by the government of India. But still, why we are not able to see any tangible thing? The thing is, the only way to go about is to much more like RCI Act has to be regulated much more effective way, and the inclusive education, now entire world is following inclusive education, but what is needed in India is, instead of recognizing all schools as inclusive education schools, we need to recognize, we need to in a way make one particular school in one block, one I would say one taluk, and pump in money, invest lot of money in terms of having facilities for different types of disabled people, right? So that is where we can make, in a way, RCI to be a very effective one in terms of special education. And of course, there are a lot of prosthetic technology and other things are happening, but these days RCI is focusing more on education, right? So if there are questions, we'll take it up. I'm sorry.
It's okay, sir.
Thank
Sorry,
you very much.
I was just interrupting because we are running short of time.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
2014 already,
Okay.
8:14.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can read one comment here. Mr. Sumit Kumar Ganguly is saying that I can recollect the trauma faced by my classmates who had intellectual disabilities from strict teachers whose only remedy was corporal punishment.
Yes.
Previously, there was not a remarcation of these kind of diseases or these kind of things which the people with the disabilities are facing. And somehow when the able person are helping the disabled, then they will somehow like bring out something together that is fruitful for the disabled persons who are facing traumas or anything which they are facing. This will work definitely. So dear participants, if you have any questions, kindly raise your hands, or you can drop your questions in the chat box also. The floor is open now. Any questions?
So, participant, any question, query? Dr. Boopathi, what changes that you see, from it was registered as society and after the enactment, special act? So did you find any big changes, implementation?
Yes. Changes, now the when it was a society, it has certain limitations. It was not a statutory body. Its recommendations were not really taken for consideration. After it became a statutory body, there were a lot of changes. Of course, what we see, as I said, RCA recognized 800 institutions. Now, what is like also in terms of one cannot, a government cannot start a special school without getting, in a way, license from RCI. It has to be vetted by RCI, recognized by RCI. And also, when it became a statutory body, it has its own sort of provisions. It has its own functions. It intervenes into the government activities. It is being consulted for policy framing. Recently, we had a meeting like almost 3-4 months back, in which disability the Secretary of Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities was constantly consulting throughout the meeting with RCI chairperson. To that level, it is very important. It's a now policy framing body. Now the point is, it though intellectually disabled children are not being included in the RCI thing because it's a very outdated one, but RCI stretches itself further and sort of makes certain policies for them as well. That's in the recent syllabi that we were all reviewing in our university. We also send our recommendations. We could see the RCI focuses more on SLD, intellectually disabled children, and other things. But the point is, there has to be a very serious thought out in terms of the implementation of inclusive education, because today we have this SSA, Sagara, Sagara. Earlier it was Sarva Siksha Abhiyan. Now it is like Sagra Siksha Abhiyan something, right? So like from 2018-19 academic year onwards, because this idea of SSA and RMSA, where the two models were merged together, and it was like introduced as SSA. And the government is focusing more on in terms of teaching children with disabilities, giving them education and all these things. But there is a serious problem in terms of grassroots level, in terms of ground level. Ground level reality is quite different than that of policy framing. There's a huge gap that has to be addressed. But the only conduit to addressing this gap is RCI. RCI is capable to do it now, because RCI is as I said, it's a standalone body. It's a statutory body. It has full rights. It has people from different sectors and other things. So it can be probably amended a bit, and government can really do a better work with that. So.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boopathi, for that comprehensive and insightful session. So, dear participants, will not be able to take more questions now, and we are apologizing for that. So, on behalf of Pro Bono India and GNLU Center for Disability Studies, I extend our sincere appreciation to Dr. Boopathi P for his illuminating presentation on a Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI Act 1992. And for giving insights to the various other sectors also. Dr. Bhupathi's unique perspective as both disability studies scholar and coordinator of enabling unit at CUTN has provided us with invaluable insights into the regulatory framework governing rehabilitation professionals in India, and even the kids, those who are facing the intellectual disabilities at all, they are facing it. So your expertise in bridging the academic theory with practical implementation has enriched our understanding significantly, sir. And I also express gratitude to all our participants for their thoughtful engagement and pertinent questions as well throughout today's session. Your active participation continues to make this capacity building program a truly collaborative learning experience. We look forward to welcoming you all back tomorrow for our next enlightening session. And please take time to reflect on today's learning about RCI Act and its implications for disability rights practice. Thank you and have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kalpesh and Dr. Priyanka and Dr.
Thank you, Boopathi.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a great session. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that.
Yes, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.